More details are emerging following the leak of alleged United States classified intelligence documents. It could have an impact on the Ukraine conflict, as well as relations between the United States and its allies. While the files have not been verified so far, the alleged claims are revealing. Well, our correspondent Iolo Dafydd has been following the story in Europe. Iolo.
Yes, around 100 documents, Jamie, are still being investigated by the Pentagon. And the alleged leak has raised several questions about the military preparedness of Ukraine regarding their anticipated spring offensive. Now, the documents have also revealed the presence of special forces from several NATO countries on the ground in Ukraine, including the UK, the United States and Latvia. Now, some of the files appear to show evidence that the US is spying on several countries, including allies like South Korea and Israel.
Well, Iolo, come and join us. I mean, it's obviously a complex story, a big story spanning the world's intelligence communities. What do you think we're learning, essentially, from these leaks as they come out, day by day?
As that investigation by the Pentagon goes on, trying to find the source of the leak, I mean, from the Ukraine war point of view, initially, it looks as if the amount of armaments and weapons that the Ukrainians keep asking the West for, they haven't got. And that lack of detail before their, as we understand, their spring offensive to try and push Russian forces back, even though they've been defending all winter, it seems they don't have it. And actually, what I saw last month backs that up in terms of the lack of shells, the lack of armaments, and the fact that they are still using Soviet-style weapons. Some of them 40, 50-year-old weapons are still being used, and they have a quota of shells to use in some locations. So all that must be worrying for the allied countries, as well as for the Ukrainians. And then this issue of foreign troops, special forces from those countries, if indeed they are in, it blows a hole in the argument that the West is not directly involved on the ground, even if they are supplying weapons to Ukraine. So there'll be scrutiny on that. And I think also, in terms of what precisely is the West's role in this war with Russia, and the casualty figures, which are not being disclosed by either side, well, if those leaks are correct, in that 230,000 Ukrainian troops have been killed or wounded, and around an estimated 130,000 in terms of Ukraine, they're huge losses for both sides. And of course, all this is unverified, but if there's an element of truth there, then I think many, many people will sit up.
You say it's yet unverified. What is the potential fallout?
I think the potential fallout, we're already seeing it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the Europe response to ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict is one of these files that have been released. And 38 European countries are listed in a chart in terms of where they stand on the support for Ukraine, military support or otherwise. And I think that it shows the degree of impact that, you know, the close surveillance, in a way, that the Americans are watching what all these NATO countries and other European countries are doing in terms of their support. Not just South Korea, that they've agreed to send humanitarian aid, but now, obviously, the Americans want them to send military aid, or indeed their interest in how Mossad and the Israelis are looking at how the Israeli government are actually conducting themselves. But take Serbia, for instance, or the UK with special forces there, and the fact that Serbia, with those close cultural ties to Russia, they want to join the European Union. So where do they stand if there's expectation for them to send weapons as well to Ukraine?
I mean, you've spent a lot of time reporting from Ukraine over the last year. I mean, how do you think this is going to go down in Ukraine, where presumably it's going to be reported widely?
Of course, and they'll be watching and reading on social media, and they'll be seeing the fallout, and they'll be seeing the responses also from other countries. There will be dismay, I'm pretty sure of that, but they want those weapons from the West in order to try and, as they see it, defend their country against outside aggression. So they will not be complaining too loudly against the Americans or anybody else. However, it does give them time if this spring offensive is going to happen, they do have time to modify their plans, and they have shown in the last 13 months how adaptable they have been in terms of how they are responding to Russian pressure and how they are doing their fighting with, at times, meagre resources.
Iolo, thank you very much. Our correspondent, Iolo Dafydd.